Hello folks, my name is Sasha and this is Starlight Dream Dolls. It's been a hot minute and I'm not gonna lie, I had planned for this video to come out at the end of June or early July. In fact, I was supposed to add my doll to a Pride theme collab lineup and well, unfortunately for me, life happened. So before we go forward in this video, I want to take a moment to thank my friends and collaborators. I Could Do That DIY, DollyAnna and Stefu Dolls, who were amazing with me with all of this, that were super understanding of my situation and even listened to me when I needed to vent, which is not something I usually expect from people in that kind of collaborations, but I greatly appreciated that they would lend me a ear and, read my messages. I really needed to talk at that moment. So please, if you are not already following them, please leave a link to their YouTube channels and their videos of Pride Fairies in the description box below. So please go look at their stuff. They're amazing people. They sure deserve the views and all the support in the world. And I mean, just look at those adorable dolls on the screen. They deserve it. They do. I don't want to linger on it too much, but basically what happened is that someone really close to me wasn't in a safe situation, and it drained everything I had, both mentally and physically. So yeah, I distanced myself from the internet a little bit because of that. However, now everything is fine, and by that I mean that I'm okay, the person I'm talking about is also okay, we're both safe, everything is going well, everything is resolving, so you don't have to worry a little bit. Not at all. And all of that brings me back to the present video. So this was meant as a Pride team collab. We basically had to create a fairy character inspired by one of the Pride flags, one flag of our choosing. The flag that I choose is not extremely well known, but this is one that represents one identity that is often placed under the non-binary umbrella, and that's demi-boy. That's basically when you identify as partially a man, partially masculine, or a man and something else. Maybe not necessarily men and women or men and non-binary. It's basically just a label for those who say like a kinda-ish, if I can say it like that. Of course, there's probably a more eloquent way to describe this identity, so I'll leave a couple of links in the description down below if you want to educate yourself on the matter. Now, do I identify as a demi-boy? Well, I kinda do, yeah. I'd say it's one of the most concise and precise and well-defined labels that can more or less really narrow down and point out a bit how I feel about my own identity and my relationship to gender as far as masculinity and femininity and everything else goes. So yeah, I'd say yes, absolutely. As for when it comes to being queer, well, if you didn't know, yes, hi, I am queer, I am pansexual, I am trans, and I am, well, a demi-boy, I guess. I'm both trans-masculine and non-binary. I am a person, I love my life, I love who I am, and this is my truth, and I don't plan on hiding it, so out and proud in there, doll artist, queer, and happy about it. And also, being queer is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, absolutely, even if I had to delay it, because it's so important to me to speak about queerness, because these times are quite special. I mean, when we look around us, we see so many changes in how people see the world, especially for those of you who live in the United States. I'm Canadian, so it doesn't affect me the same way, but we're still seeing it coming, and I want to speak about that a little bit. And I'm sorry if it goes a little bit political, and I'm sorry if that's not your cup of tea, but I have a platform and I couldn't stay silent on the matter, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of that. And also, as I start there with prepping the doll, which is a lovely second-hand Draculaura, I'm just gonna say this little fun fact. Even if International Pride Month is June, In my city, which is the greater Montreal area, in Montreal, we celebrate Pride actually the whole month of August. So I'm not technically late for Pride. It, yeah. And now I suspect that a couple of you are probably wondering why I chose one of the most delicate and feminine Monster High doll to serve as a base for a character that is inspired by a more masculine identity. And yes, if you think that I'm gonna use that body and make it more masculine and make a boy out of her, well, you're right. It's kind of thing that I do actually. It's it's something that I've did I think like 5 or maybe 6 times so far, and I just love the proportions, how it looks in the end with a flat chest and a little less round hips. And this is also a choice that I made out of artistic preference, because honestly, a lot of the guys from the Monster High and Ever After High lines are extremely buffs, and no, this doesn't suit my fantasy at the time. So, before going further in, I want to give you a content warning starting from here. I will speak more candidly about trans issues, and if it's not your cup of tea, you're free to skip the video or watch it on mute, alright? As I am going through this part, I am, well, prepping the doll, and I'll be doing some mods on the doll body. And not only am I preparing the canvas to fit my idea of the artwork I want to create, but it's also reminding me of something very, very real. I realize now that I'm recording that I didn't put that part in here. It's a little bit later in the video, but it's I think it's pretty evident for now. I'm gonna remove the doll's breast, so it's going to look a lot like I'm giving my character a top surgery. And I'm not gonna be doing the body mod on this doll specifically to make a point. As I said earlier, I really, really love the proportions of Monster High dolls. And I've also modded several dolls in this way in the past, and not in the context that's about the trans experience, really. However, I can say that the metaphor on this one is actually pretty powerful, especially because it kind of mirrors my own journey in a way. I very much plan to have top surgery in the future, and it is not something that I chose to do out of hate for my own body, because I honestly don't harbor hatred for my chest. It's more about love, it's about self-love. And I will segue into this. So right now, I could say that things have never been this good for trans folk, and I can see how this could make sense in some context. I mean, with context all around it. But to be completely honest, I think it does pales in comparison to how dark it can be in some places. And the outcry in the Western world, to me, is particularly scary. Since I came out publicly, I've received a lot of messages of people calling me brave. I'll be honest, it bothers me just a tiny little, because I don't feel brave at all. What I see is that I am privileged. I am privileged to be living in Canada, in a city that does not see as much hate as others do. And by others, I don't mean some obscure, hypothetical, extreme country with custom that could feel foreign to some of us, but I mean other places in my country of Canada and really close to home in the US, are a very powerful and visible neighbor. I am not privy, or I don't have an extended knowledge how things are in all of Europe's or in all other countries on other continents, but as far as my understanding goes, some extremely scary things are also happening in the UK, and I've seen some wild commentaries from French-speaking Europe as well, and I would not be surprised to hear about things happening all over the world at this point. I think it's very realistic to think so. I am not the most eloquent person. I also have a lot of trouble with my accent sometimes, and I often search for a very long time to find the right words to put into words the things that I'm feeling. And English is very much a second language, and well, it's however much easier to say those things in English though, because I feel like my native Canadian French is even more finicky when it comes to talk about things like this. It doesn't have all the same level of language. It doesn't have all the same expressions and words, and it's a lot more difficult in my opinion. And I heard that Spanish is actually way worse, but I cannot confirm that myself, as I only speak English and French, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people can vouch for that, and maybe for other languages that I'm not in the know about. But yeah, this world is awfully antagonistic to trans people, and it also translates towards everyone that could be potentially seen as trans, or when you're not sure, as in gender non-conforming folks, or even actors and performance acting artists like drag queens and drag kings, and it feels like it's a refusal to feel the need to conform, as if it was a proof that evil permeates our very soul and is directly carved into our bones. And I say that knowing again that I am very much on the privileged side of the community. A female to male transition can look, well, in quotation marks, seamless. Passing is usually it's usually way more easy. It's more or less guaranteed for some people. When it comes to male to female individuals, though, you often cannot undo what puberty did. You cannot remove bones. You cannot become shorter. I mean, unless you're already putting a lot of time and money and effort into it's gonna be difficult. And that means that some folks, and not always on that side of the community, some folks just feel like they have a permanent glowing sides above their head outing them, like trans, neon colors, look at me, guess it, see it, I'm trans. And in a world where each passerby can turn out to be unpleasant or hateful or even dangerous, this kind of becomes a heavy burden to bear. And I want to be transparent. I cannot speak for every trans person saying this. And I won't speak for all trans folks. This is just what I've seen, what I've experienced, and what I've discussed with the people I know and what I've read in some communities. But yeah, small things like that, disapproving gaze, or even just a whispered comment that one person is telling another, that can be enough to affect my mood. That can be enough to affect a lot of people's moods. And no, it's not. It's absolutely not about us having to build a thick skin. I mean, not when small happenings like that just keep on accumulating and piling up. I mean, one grain of sand might not weigh much, but if you start piling them over and over and over again, soon enough it's becoming a completely different story. So why? Why am I telling you all of this? Well, I made it clear, I think, that I have a platform. And in the face of growing hostilities, I feel like I could not be silent. It's because I am trans. It's because I have trans friends too, and I care about the trans community. I mean, we are human beings, all of us. It's as simple as that. I don't need people to understand me or understand my life choices to respect me. And I think that's a sentiment shared by a lot of trans folk. And of course I'm speaking at large here. I did lift out a lot of nuances and smaller details too. And there is much more than that in our community, or the LGBTQ plus community at large. There are also a lot of people who fall in between the set ideas that some of us has, like all the shades of non-binary folks, intersex folks, and even queer people on the ROA spectrum that we don't talk about much. We don't talk enough about a lot of those shades of people. And we could also talk about different views and cultures and ways of life all over the planet. And it is all valid, and again, I still think that understanding is not always needed to give a fellow human being the respect they deserve. Because I, frankly, to this day, do not understand why some people think that basic respect is earned. I can get behind some reasoning when placed into a context with a lot of meat and stuff all around it, like a story. But even then, I don't think I could ever agree, even if you've given me all of this. I don't think I could ever agree with that sentiment. We are at a point where respect is even more important, because I think that, yes, small things can fuel bigger things, and those bigger things can fuel actions, and those actions can sometimes threaten the security and the well-being of trans people, and also a lot of the marginalized communities, though. I'm speaking mostly about trans people right now in this video, but I think you get my meaning. And I'm going to say it as clearly as I can, but this is absolutely not about being woke or political. And this gets me a little angry usually, because to me it never was about that. It's about being kind, because our existence should not be equated to a political stance. My right to exist is not an opinion, and respecting trans people as fellow human being is not just an objective on a bullet list to get brownie points. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit hard to record all of that. It's been a couple of days since I've been looking at the screen, but here we go. I'm going in. And yes, I do say all of that from a place, again, of incredible privilege. I don't have a religious family, and I have parents that I know will never reject me. But this in no way means that all is well, cute, and rosy in my life. And even if my own pain seems so little in comparison to what other people face, and frankly, it really is, it is still another pile of sand in the same whole wide big desert that we navigate through. It's just another pile of sand. Again, I don't know if the metaphor just goes well for all of you, but it makes sense in my head. It makes sense in my head, so I'm going with it. And now, what do I want to do with this message? What's my goal? It's really hard to say again. I didn't sat down and compose that script because yes, I had to write it down. And I didn't do it with a goal in mind. I really just wanted desperately to speak out about something that felt this important to me. And if this video, this speech makes you think, then it's more than enough for me. Because as much as one stare or someone's whisper can influence our day in a very negative way, one look and one little comment can do the opposite and more. And that's all, folks. Always be proud of who you are. Because we all matter. Queer or not, LGBTQ plus or not. We are all valid. And now you see me, and I see you. Okay, so just a quick message about the doll here. I know I usually explain what's going on, and I didn't this time, so I'll give you a quick run through. So, I am making a fairy prince. The character is intentionally delicate, borderline androgynous, but it still leans a bit more towards masculine when it comes to clothes and, well, the whole aesthetics. So, this is also why I gave him a simple and natural face up. I also made a lot, and I mean a lot, of changes in the outfit and accessories, and I kept coming back to adjust things and replace elements and just redo whole sections all throughout the process, so yeah. Some materials also did not agree with me, and well, like that gray faux leather that I picked for the vest, I couldn't work with it, it kept on cracking. And yeah, I also took a long break because of life in the middle of the creating process, and I did change more things when I came back to the project after. So yeah, I tried editing the whole video so that it all flowed well, but if you have any question about the process, something that's not clear, just don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I'll give you the best explanation that I can. Thank you. folks, I've thought over and over again over the past weeks, if not months, while I was preparing this doll and this video, if I wanted to go there and take that stance in a video and talk about it all. Because yes, I thought that, what if it destroyed my chances at growing my platform? But then I watched some videos from other content creators and I was reminded just how important it is to speak up. And yeah, I feel like having a small platforms give me that opportunity and I wanted to seize it. Not for clouds, because honestly, my YouTube's not even monetized, folks. I'm speaking honestly because it means something to me. I mean, I'm an artist, I feel. I feel very strongly, and this is just part of who I am. And no, I don't plan on making videos about trans issues all the time. I'm here on YouTube because I want you to see my dolls, and that's the meaning of this channel. But I will never erase my transness, my queerness, and who I am as a person. I'm gonna be still one of these doll repainters, but I'm gonna be as queer as I want, as that's just how things are going to be. And for each supporter, it's going to feel like a win for me, like usual. I'm just some random YouTuber making videos on their phone from a tiny apartment in some Canadian city. But I do have a voice, and I want to thank you all for giving me a chance to make it heard much louder. And that's it. I don't know when the next video will come out and what it will be about, but I am sure looking forward to it, and I hope that you're going to love it. And don't forget, please, to go and look at the doll my fellow collaborators and friends created if you have a little time. I mean, one click do go a long way on this platform. In the meantime, though, it's very important, as always, that I'm saying this. Please do stay safe.